Coming up on this edition of the Bridgewater Review, both towns in the BR School District continue their efforts on a very difficult FY20 budget.
This is not a budget that I feel serves either population well.
The town and the university remember the lives taken in attacks around the world fueled by hate.
We do what we can do, which is speak out locally and try to make a change in Bridgewater and the surrounding areas.
The MBTA is raising their fares to ride the rails. We have your reaction on the new price hike. And we'll introduce you to the new team at Bridgewater State that's looking to take the leap towards a championship. These stories and more are coming up on the Bridgewater Review.
Welcome to this edition of the program. I'm Scott Olson.
And I'm Jeff Fowler.
The BR School District is in the middle of its budget process, and it has been a process to say the least. And for the district and the communities of Bridgewater and Rainham, this is a budget that features a deficit of well over $3 million and two communities trying to close the gap for fiscal year 20. John Luck has more.
During the March 13th school district budget hearing, BR's budget subcommittee shared signs of a very tight FY20 financially. Bridgewater's assessment will show a 3.4% increase over FY19, totaling just over $28.5 million, and a 3.29% increase for Rainham over last year that would come out to just over $18.5 million going to the district. The total proposed budget without debt came to just over $72.5 million, still leaving a deficit of a little under $4 million. That deficit will be made up through a combination of funds from school choice, base, the circuit breaker fund, and free cash. Even with those funds added to the budget, there was still a $400,000 shortfall, which Budget Subcommittee member Julie Skleparis says will be made up through E&D accounts and other revolving funds. This is something the district warns should not be repeated in future budget cycles. Superintendent Derek Swinson was looking to add 18 positions to the district that were needs, not wants.
Obviously, as the superintendent, but also as a parent of children that go to this district, to say that I'm disappointed in this budget moving forward would be an understatement. Those 18 positions, those weren't wants, those are needs. Our communities are growing on both sides.
The budget presentation revealed that those 18 positions cannot be funded, so there will be no new positions added to the district for FY20, and there will be no new textbooks and supplies. Whatever money is left over from this year's budget will be used towards buying supplies for the next school year. Both local governments were represented at the budget hearing. Former BR School Committee Chair, now member of the Rainham Board of Selectmen, Patricia Riley, said that Rainham could gift money to the district, but it's something that the town doesn't want to do.
We don't like to do that because it's not the right thing to do in a regional district. In the past, we have gifted money for supplies, I believe, and equipment, and once to save positions, never to create positions. But I think the Finance Committee and many others realize how serious the situation is. Again, nothing's been decided, and it's kind of a last resort, not something that we want to do because it creates an inequity in the district, and that is not good. That's not what the regional district is supposed to be. But that comes out of a sense of frustration.
Bridgewater, I could tell you, we would love to meet all of our obligations. We don't sit there and try to figure out how not to meet them. But every town has unique challenges. You talked about the school funding. Well, the state funding for state aid, that doesn't work for us either. Let's keep in mind, we've got a university, we've got a prison, we've got an MBTA station. But I think working together, we'll do the best that we can, because we want to make sure that our community, our kids, our educators, our public safety, our highway department, whatever, can do the best that they can.
1 week later, the district, along with Bridgewater and Rainham officials, came together for a joint budget meeting, which served as another opportunity to hear the impacts this budget could have not just on teachers, but on students as well.
I am the recipient of these increased classes. I have 28 first graders in front of me each and every day, and they are very eager to learn. I also understand next year I will probably have at least 30, if not more. Well, you may not think your budget does not directly impact me. It does, due to the fact that the assessment in Rainham has to be proportionate according to the district agreement. Teachers have more challenges today just to keep their students and themselves safe in the classroom. This district has been proactive by proposing a budget that included additional teachers. It is inevitable that the schools will be getting an influx of students given all the building in both towns.
Currently, there is a place for everyone in this district, and people try new things when they hear about them. Next year's plans won't affect me directly, but I care enough about the school and the district and the people within it that I'm speaking to you. I please ask that you take what I say into consideration when you go forth for your budget for next year. I know you will make the best decision for the school district.
You can watch both meetings on our website anytime on demand at btvaccess.com.
Continuing with their busy meeting schedule, the school committee met for their regular meeting on March 29th and unanimously voted to pass the budget with the aforementioned budget assessments for each town. Now, in that story, we told you that there were going to be no new positions added. Well, there may be a hope for the district to add a few positions to the budget. The Rainham Finance Committee during the meeting said that they would like to increase their assessment by $180,000, which would fund 3 positions. For that to happen, Bridgewater would have to increase their assessment by the same percent as Rainham, which would come out to $266,790. The superintendent said at the meeting that if Bridgewater can't match Rainham's new assessment, the district can modify the budget to reflect it. As the budget process continues for the town and the district, we'll keep you posted as of any new details on Bridgewater Now.
Well, it's not just the BR district feeling the financial pinch. Teachers, administrators, and members of the state senate were in attendance at BSU to let their voices be heard and try to get more funding. The high school, Bridgewater State University, and other schools throughout the Commonwealth. Kyle Cardoza has more on this, including numbers that, if approved, could earn schools around here more than $1 million added to what they already receive from the state.
And a packed crowd came out for this. Senators, students, and faculty came together for the Fund Our Future campaign panel held at Bridgewater State University. The panel, which was held on February 26, discussed the need for more funding in public education. The campaign sought to have legislation increase state funding for public education by more than $1.5 billion. If the campaign is successful, Bridgewater State will receive $21 million, and the Bridgewater Rainham School District will receive $2 million, and each Bridgewater would earn an extra $1 million. Among the senators present was Michael Brady of Plymouth and Bristol counties, and Paul Feeney of Bristol and Norfolk counties. To showcase some of the need for more funding, comparisons were made from 2001 and 2018, showing that in 2001, a student needed to work approximately 12 hours to afford tuition and fees, while in 2018, these hours increased to 31 hours.
I pay for college on my own. I struggle to pay for school. Yes, I get financial aid, but it doesn't cover everything. I can only work 20 hours a week at BSU per the rules of BSU, and I do not have a car to get another job off campus. I have other bills to pay besides tuition and fees. I cannot use all the money I earn in school alone. If I did, I wouldn't be able to eat. Higher education deserves more funding for people like me, people whose dorm rooms hold everything they own, people who don't know where their next meal is coming from if the dining halls are closed. Higher education deserves more funding for people like my SGA president, Kylie Morin, who is a first-generation college student and pays for school by herself while maintaining academic excellence and being involved in various aspects of the involvement field, I guess, at BSU, while advocating for her peers on student government. Higher education deserves more funding for my fellow BSU students. Higher education deserves more funding for all those Massachusetts college students who struggle every semester to pay for school. Higher education deserves more funding, period.
During the panel, faculty and students representing a variety of schools spoke. The faculty discussed the lack of funding for school supplies and necessary learning materials, as well as class size and wage setbacks, while students discussed the ever-increasing student loan debt and the struggles to not only pay for college, but dorms, books, and social activities.
It seems like a typical day to turn the news on and hear about the most recent hate-fueled attack on innocent people, and recently there was one in New Zealand and another one in Amsterdam. No matter the country, everyone around the world mourns the lives of those taken by each terrible act of hate.
That's right, and that includes Bridgewater, as the community came together at BSU to show that even thousands of miles away, the stance against hate is a strong one.
We the community, push, love, over hate.
At an event organized by the Minnick Institute for Global Engagement, the Center for Middle East Studies, and more, Bridgewater State University students, faculty, and residents from around the town came together to show a sense of unity and remember lives lost in recent tragedies driven by hate. In New Zealand, 50 people were killed at a mosque, and in Amsterdam, 3 people were killed in a shooting on a train. The group also remembered the 11 lives lost in Pittsburgh at a synagogue last year. A light for each life was on display on top of signs asking for peace. Those signs were outside before the event, held by members of the Bridgewater Citizens for Civility and Respect, who continue to stand out and speak out against hate everywhere.
We just feel that a statement has to be made that this is not the correct behavior, that we want to encourage civility and respect for all peoples. So we thought it would be a good idea to come out ahead of the gathering today to make a statement on campus to the students and whoever goes by of what we stand for. I just think that whenever these events happen, someone has to stand up on what we think is the right side of people being accepting of other cultures, other ethnic groups, other religions, whatever the differences are. We need to accept those people and not harass them and spew hate at them.
The gathering was created to remember the lives taken by 3 terrible attacks, but also to bring a community together to make a statement against hate even half a world away.
I hope this event, how sad it is, will bring our campus, our cities, our country together, make them united, make them hug each other. I'm not exaggerating if I tell you it is a scary time for so many of us. However, working with one another will help us defeat hate.
An imam from the Islamic Center of New England in Sharon spoke and asked those in attendance to honor the victims of the New Zealand attack by completing one act of kindness for each life lost.
We cannot repel evil with evil. We can repel evil with good, with love, with compassionate. So let's pledge that we're going to do something good. 50 lives, do something, pledge that you're going to do something 50 number. Keep that 50 number, that in these days and in 1 week, I'm going to do 50 good things in my life. 50 things today, perhaps, maybe for the whole week, maybe for the month.
Bridgewater State President Fred Clark attended the gathering, which opened its doors to everybody to show a sense of unity, not just at the university, but in the community as well.
Well, when you look around a place like Bridgewater, town of, or even the university, what you see is a lot of different individual identities. We have Muslim students, we have students that are from the Middle East, we have partners who are in this room who are from universities from the Middle East. So when you look around, you realize that we're not one group, we're many groups, and that's really what makes America great. We just have to remember that. I think when we have a tragedy like we've had in New Zealand or anywhere in the world or anywhere in this country, it's important for us to step up, to speak out. We stand together, and we stand up for those that we lost.
Well, starting in July, MBTA riders will be paying more for their rides in and out of the city with a new fare hike affecting all Bay State residents that take the train to their destinations, including residents here in Bridgewater. Mary Evers has more on how much you'll be paying to take the T.
On March 11th, the MBTA's Fiscal and Management Control Board voted to once again increase fares for several of the Transit Authority's services. After a series of town hall-style meetings where the riders were encouraged to come and speak their mind, the board voted that it was in their best interest to increase fares. These fare hikes are set to go into effect July 1st of this year and will affect all subway, commuter rail, and ferry tickets, while bus fares will remain the same. Also remaining the same are all passes for the elderly and disabled. As can be expected, many MBTA riders are not looking upon the fare hikes very kindly. Many argue that service is still often delayed, and many improvements to the trains themselves have been delayed seemingly indefinitely. The MBTA, however, has defended the fare hike, citing upkeep and the approaching Green Line extension project as reasons for the hike. They have also noted that the increase has stayed in line with inflation in the Boston and Greater Boston areas. These hikes follow along with the Massachusetts state law that restrict the MBTA from raising fares to once in a 2-year period, and with a max increase allowed of 7%. For anyone in Bridgewater that takes a commuter rail from the stop located on BSU's campus to Boston, the fare for a one-way ticket will go up from $10 to $10.50, while monthly passes will go from $318 to $340. Earlier this week, we asked viewers what they thought of the MBTA fare hikes, and this is what we got back. Keith Buell said that there's truly no amount of increase that would sway me to drive to Boston daily for work. The money spent on gas and parking and time lost and mostly overall aggravation are much worse than any fare increase. On the other side, Joe Gillis responded, plus $4 to park in the lot. But the bigger question, have any of the past increases resulted in any kind of improvements to ridership, experience, cleanliness, on-time performance, etc.? Ever. For more information about the MBTA fare hike, visit mbta.com/fare proposal 2019. For Bridgewater Review, I'm Mary Evers.
Whether you agree or disagree with the fare hike, they'll be here to stay July 1st. And certainly, people get upset about fare hikes, and understandably so, with the unreliability of the system at times. But, you know, the system has a huge maintenance backlog. You're really paying to keep the system up to date and upgraded. We have seen some upgrades to the commuter rail here in town with the new locomotives, but you're really paying for upgrades that should have been done, frankly, before I was even born.
Unfortunately, we're paying for some mistakes that were done in the past.
That's for sure. Now, during the council meeting on March 26th, a letter was approved to send State Senator Mark Pacheco and State Representative Angela D'Amelia. The letter asked the two closest Bridgewater representatives to the State House to seek more funding for prison mitigation for the town.
Dear Senator Pacheco and Representative D'Amelia, at the Bridgewater Town Council meeting held March 12, 2019, the Town Council unanimously requested your assistance in securing additional state funding to offset the burdens on the town of Bridgewater for hosting the Department of Corrections facilities. While the town is very appreciative of the funding, it receives as part of the supplemental budget over the past years, the council is concerned that the amounts have not come close to meeting the cumulative costs associated with being a host community. The council appreciates all your assistance in securing past funds, and we look forward to being helpful in securing additional funding. We would also like to understand the formula used by the state to disperse the funds that are appropriated in the supplemental budget to the eligible towns. Thank you in advance for any help you may be able to provide. Respectfully, Edward Haley, Council President.
The Rules and Procedures Committee held a special meeting to update residents on the upcoming charter vote in April's election. There are some changes that residents will be voting on. However, the process to get here was a lengthy one. Starting in 2014, the Charter Review Committee was made to go through and seek corrections that had been made from grammatical errors to rules. The Rules and Procedures Committee met numerous times to discuss the details of the document while continuing to be receiving input from the Charter Review Committee. In 2017, the changes were evaluated by the Council and eventually sent to the state for approval. In January of this year, Governor Charlie Baker signed off on the charter and sent it back with the changes for Bridgewater voters to approve. Some of the potential changes are small, for example, keeping the town manager/council form of government and reducing the time it takes for a measure to pass from 30 days to 72 hours. There are some large potential changes, including a stipend for councilors of $3,000 with no benefits or pensions, but that wouldn't be effective until 2022. Perhaps the biggest proposed change is changing the town clerk from elected to appointed. Residents disagree with that idea and didn't like the fact that this was a broad yes or no question instead of broken up into multiple questions.
I think it's reasonable to think that they assume that we had one question to put on the ballot, and so we end up with a question to put on the ballot.
This was going to be a hot button item no matter what we did. You should have had at least two questions. I'm all for fixing the ones and no's and t's or whatever. But you're taking away our right to vote an elected town clerk. The council screwed it up. Nobody else. If you thought you were going to send that up that way, if I was in the State House, I'd have wrote it as one question. It should have been asked that we want these as specific questions.
I believe in letting the people vote and letting the people choose. And it's what I would want to see happen. If they make a terrible mistake, there are ways to correct that, as Carlton mentioned with the recall. I also would note that you put in a few more things that might happen administratively for the council to provide oversight to the position. I'm much more comfortable with 26,000 bosses than with 9. 9 people who think that they might have some duty, obligation, or desire to call up and tell me what to do. I don't really know how to figure that out. I do better with thinking that the people who are voting for me are the ones who come in and ask me to do things, and I can say, no, I can or can't, but I don't have to feel like I have to do exactly what they say to keep my job.
There were some proposed changes that didn't make it to the new suggested changes, including combining districts 4 and 5 adding another at-large counselor, and changing the required signature count for a district counselor from 100 to 75. The charter review form is available on our website if you'd like more background on the question you'll be voting on in April. If the changes are not approved, then the charter will remain the same. The next charter review will start in 2020.
Voters will head to the polls on April 27th at the old BR High School, and once again this year, there are not a lot of contested races on the ballot.
Yeah, that's for sure, Jeff. The Public Library trustees have 4 candidates for 3 openings. Nancy Sarno and Janet Dye will be running for re-election, while Danielle Oliari and Matthew Gerritsen are looking to get elected for a 3-year term. The council features 3 uncontested races. Barring a write-in campaign, Fred Chase will stay on as the councillor for District 4. Francis Souza will remain the District 7 councillor. And again, barring a write-in campaign, Matt Rushton will be the councillor at large for a 3-year term, taking over for Council President Ted Haley.
Richard Florence is expected to take over Julie Skloparis' seat on the BR School Committee, and on the Bridgewater side, and the chair of the school committee, Susan Prewandowski, seeks re-election on the Rainham side, which Bridgewater voters also can vote on. The election is on April 27th, but you can hear from those running on Candidates Corner, which we'll have on Bridgewater Now and the BTV Facebook page in the coming weeks. Well, potholes and cracked pavements on sidewalks can be a problem here in town.
Coming up, we'll tell you the new way Bridgewater is trying to fix those problems quicker for drivers.
And we will introduce you to the new team at Bridgewater State. We'll be right back.
145 over 92.
180 over 111.
182 over 100. And I had a heart attack and a cardiac arrest, and then a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure looks like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a heart attack or stroke are far from invisible or silent. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
Head to toe, everything's changed. Head to toe.
"38 teams from all 6 New England states came to Bridgewater Rainham Regional High School for the first robotics competition New England District event. The 76-match competition was called Operation Deep Space, and the goal was to pick up rubber balls with your robot and load them onto a spaceship. The high school was packed with fans and other competitors, and at the end of the weekend, the school's robotics team, TJ Squared, finished second with their alliance. The team continues on with their season leading up to the New England District Championship at WPI the week of April 10th, and the first robotics championship starting on April 24th in Detroit.
Kids and their parents look to make a difference at a Bridgewater gym recently. Get in Shape for Women held a fundraiser called Kettlebells for Kids to raise awareness of the average age of a homeless child, which is 9.
So my name is Stephanie, and I own Get in Shape for Women in Bridgewater. And we're having an event today to support Kettlebell for Kids. We're going to raise money for homeless kids. So I had some families coming in, give a donation, and you did a 9-minute workout, 9 swings, 9 burpees. And the average age of a homeless kid is 9 years old, so that's where the 9 comes into play. Just trying to raise money for a good cause, and all these families came out today, so I'm happy to be a part of it.
Came out today for the Kettlebells for Kids. We want to help raise awareness for the kids that are homeless. I brought my whole family out. What did you think of the workout? Did you like it?
Yeah.
Yeah? So we got a good workout in, right? Yeah, and we loved it. I think it's a great cause.
The Social Security Administration and the Office of the Inspector General released an announcement over the past month. The 2 agencies have been receiving reports regarding fraudulent phone calls from people claiming to be Social Security employees. They warn everyone to be careful providing personal information, for example, your Social Security number or bank account information. The Social Security Administration says that their employees will never threaten a person or promise approval or increase regarding their Social Security benefits. They also remind you to not engage with the caller because the call is a fraud. If you receive a fraud call, you're asked to call the OIG fraud hotline at 1-800-269-0271 or log on to the website at the bottom of your screen.
All right, well, Bridgewater State University has numerous teams in individual sports with championship histories from basketball to football and baseball to track and field.
There are also club sports such as hockey, men's lacrosse, and more. Now, there was a club sport that was recently debuted as the team vying for championships, and for more on that team, we send it over to Mary Evers.
In March of last year, Bridgewater State University's athletic department announced its intent to elevate their club women's equestrian team to a varsity status. The equestrian team is now the university's 12th women's varsity team and its 22nd overall. The last team to become a varsity sport was men and women's indoor track and field in 1995. Despite the team's new status, it remains in the same league it did before, the Intercollegiate Horse Shows Association, and competes against both varsity and club teams in New England. In September, the team started its first official season as a varsity team, but it's their 11th overall. The club was founded by then-student Diana Nicoli in 2007, who now serves as the team's advisor. The team's home barn is Reunion Farm in Plimpton, Mass., which is owned and operated by the team's head coach, Geraldine Burnett. Currently, the team has 13 members with 4 seniors, 4 juniors, 2 sophomores, and 3 freshmen. On March 23rd, BTV was on hand for the equestrian team's meet at Winter's End Farm in Stoughton. The meet was co-hosted by both Bridgewater State and Stonehill College. At the meet, senior Kelly Thies placed 3rd in her class, freshman Madison Elliott won her immediate class, junior Gianna Maloney came in 4th in her class, and sophomores Tessa LeBlanc and Emily Adams finished 5th and 6th respectively in their classes. Though the team's regular season is now ended, it is just the beginning of the team's time as a varsity team. We hope to be able to bring you some more coverage of their events in their next season. For Bridgewater Review, I'm Mary Evers.
During the transition of seasons, the roadways and sidewalks can take a beating, eventually leading to potholes and damage to your car. Drivers in town may start having those pesky pothole problems pretty soon, but they'll be taken care of, hopefully, thanks to a new program being started by a Massachusetts-based company. StreetScan in Burlington started a new interactive program called StreetLogix. This program is still a work in progress, but here in town it began 6 months ago. The company drove around town in a vehicle equipped with multiple cameras, including a 3D camera, to collect data on road issues and sidewalk problems.
The town had a Reading-based company present a printed road condition report submitted a few years ago, but with this new technology, the town manager or the highway department can zoom in on a problem to help detect where the problem area is. The program bases its rating of sidewalks and road conditions on a scale of 1 through 100. The average is around 75 to 80. Bridgewater's roads received a rating of 75 and the sidewalk conditions earned a 78. This program was unanimously approved at a council meeting back in 2018. According to the Bridgewater Independent, the program is still continuing to get integrated. However, town manager Michael Dutton says he's not sure when or how much of the program will be made public. Well, we all go to the ballpark and have the essentials: hot dogs, fries, cotton candy, maybe even a cold beverage or two. Besides a potential stomach ache, there could be other long-lasting factors that go into what you eat at the old ball game. Mary Evers went to Wardrobe for this story and is back with more on this health story.
If you're lucky enough to make it to the ballpark for opening day, you'll undoubtedly be greeted by a wide variety of food. There are some tips to make sure your calorie count doesn't rack up like a pitcher's pitch count. Trying to keep up with healthy habits in the ballpark can be challenging.
Before you go, you want to make sure that you've had something to eat so you're not starving when you get there. You want to have something with protein, fiber, probably some sort of produce to help fill you up.
It's also important to have a plan for what quenches your thirst. Depending on what you drink, calories can add up quicker than your scorecard.
Try not to drink your calories. So if you can stick with water, if you want to have a beer, for women, 1 beer, for men up to 2 would be considered moderate drinking. Choose something that you enjoy, but the lighter beer is certainly going to have fewer calories.
There's some nutritional value in at least one ballpark favorite: peanuts. If you can get them in the shell, even better. Breaking them open makes them harder to overeat. And if you plan to enjoy a meal at the stadium, try to think outside the bun.
Stay away from the fried foods and think about lean protein and vegetables. Things like tacos are actually more common at the ballpark now, or a grilled chicken sandwich, and that'll really help limit the unhealthy fats and overeating that you might normally have with a trip to the ballpark.
The good news is if you lose track of your calories at the ballpark, there are plenty of opportunities to get up and walk them off. If you overdo it at opening day, Malone says it's just one day. It won't derail your entire season. Just be sure to get yourself back on track the next day. Not swinging and missing this time, I'm Mary Evers.
Well, as we transition to spring, it's time to start ditching the shovels and get out and enjoy the season. And what some consider to be the best season of the year can be a fickle one, and this year might be no different, as what we get could be determined by two famous words: El Nino.
New Englanders had high hopes back in February when Punxsutawney Phil gave the heave-ho to Old Man Winter, declaring an early spring. And just like that, hopes were dashed by a trio of late-season snowfall, the third storm of which dumping nearly a foot of snow on the region in early March. However, as expected, the month is going out like a lamb, and warmer temperatures look to be in store for the month of April. Climatologists are crediting the upswing in temperatures to a building El Nino pattern in the Pacific Ocean, and it appears this warmer regime will stay with us for the foreseeable future. In fact, the Climate Prediction Center is forecasting a warmer than average April for Bridgewater and a much warmer than average period for April through June, with equal chances of precipitation. There is no guarantee that this warmer pattern will carry through the summer months, but as of now, chances are pretty good.
With this episode of the program taking place in April, which is synonymous with April Fools, we thought it'd be a great time to share some technology-themed April Fools stories. Starting with Google debuting the Google Tulip, which hopes to enable friendships between humans and plants. One perk of the device is that it will let you know when it needs to be watered or put in your light. T-Mobile is giving people the opportunity to not be that person that talks on the phone in a quiet place. T-Mobile has their own phone booth that is fake, but still not really a bad idea.
Well, certainly another eventful April Fools around here. Hopefully everybody had a good time with the holiday.
I certainly didn't really notice it much at work this year. I was kind of thankful about that. Anything happen here at the studio?
Well, we did have one office that was bubble wrapped.
Oh, bubble wrapped. Oh, nice,
yeah.
nice.
Who
was the victim this time?
That Mary Evers person who keeps showing up there.
All right.
Yes.
Maybe when she was doing all these pieces on health and everything else. Yeah.
Most likely.
All right.
Makes sense. All right.
Good times.
Well, coming up, we have your news and notes, and Brian Barrard will be in with a recap of the winter sports season.
Life seemed dull? Well, don't be blue, 'cause I can tell you what to do and guarantee she'll notice you.
Yeah?
Brush your teeth. Buttons and bows and painted toes, powder on your turned-up nose. He'll look at you.
Yeah?
If you brush your teeth. Brush that hair down thick or thin. If it's too long, get a trim. To make her dig you,
Yeah?
brush your teeth.
They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
Welcome back to the Bridgewater Review. Well, the winter sports season has come to a close, which saw all 4 basketball teams in town make it to the postseason. As a matter of fact, all 4 teams played so well that they all hosted a playoff game. Starting with Bridgewater State, the men's basketball team had one thing on its mind coming into this season, and that was repeat. Last year, the men's team won the MASCAC, but in order to do it this season, they'd have to do it without the likes of Rocky DeAndre and Joseph Carty. The Bears got off to a slow start this year by losing 10 of its first 12 games. Now, we thought that BSU was catching fire at the right time with the 3-game winning streak in the conference at the end of January, but the Bears ended up losing 5 of its last 8 games. This was a young team that Joe Faroba had this year, but it also had its studs. A.J. Jaramillo was named NASCAC Player of the Year, and for good reasons. For the first 10 games, Jaramillo was just a bench player, but that quickly changed come January when he became a pivotal player in the starting 5. Jaramillo averaged just under 9 points per game this season and looks to use the momentum from the award going into next season. On to the women's team now. They too, just like the men, started off very slowly. As a matter of fact, they only had 3 wins in the first 2 months of the season, but they caught fire when they needed to. They won 7 of their last 9 going down the stretch and made a MASCAC semifinal appearance. Their hot streak at the end of the year almost got them the number 1 seeds, as a matter of fact, but they finished 2 games behind eventual MASCAC champion Westfield State. Standout this player for the Bears was senior forward Kaylin Aguiar. Aguiar nearly averaged a double-double this year, averaging over double-digit points, and was named to the All-MASCAC team. Moving on to the regional now, and well, we're starting to notice a theme here with the boys basketball team. First-round road playoff wins. The boys team had a 12-8 record this year, sweeping the OCL in its final year of existence. Their record, which was good enough for the 11th seed in the South Sectional, matched them up with the Marshfield Rams in the first round. With the 58-50 win, this set up a quarterfinal matchup with old foe Taunton. These two juggernauts traded blows going back and forth, but Taunton pulled out the 62-57 overtime win. Now on to the girls team, a team that ripped off a 16-game winning streak last season and had another one this year just for fun. The girls ended with a 19-1 record and not surprisingly swept the OCL as well. The girls spent much of the season ranked number 1 in both the Boston Globe and Boston Herald polls and earned the number 1 overall seed in the South Sectional. After making quick and easy work of Newton North and King Philip, they went against one of the top defenses in the state in the semifinals against Needham. Unfortunately, the stout 2-3 zone defense of the Rockets was too much for BR as they lost 47-33. This team will look drastically different next year, though, as they'll be losing 12 seniors. But as long as they have the dynamic duo of Shea Bolin and Kenzie Matalanis, they'll surely be contenders. And one final note in sports, congratulations to Cheryl Seavey for being named OCL Coach of the Year and Shea Bolin for being named OCL Player of the Year. And congratulations to all the Brockton Enterprise and Taunton Gazette All-Scholastic All-Stars. For BTV Sports, I'm Brian Berard. Scott and Jeff, back to you.
Well, the town of Bridgewater is reminding residents to get their pets their rabies shots at a clinic taking place on May 11th at the Highway Department Town Barn located at 151 High Street. There are 2 times for dogs and cats. For dogs, the time is 9 to 11 a.m. and dogs 6 months and older must be on a leash. Cats are up next. They'll be accepted between 11 a.m. and noon, and the cats also must be in their carriers. The town clerk will also have dog licenses available. The cost is $12. You can get more information by logging on to bridgewaterma.org or call the health department at 508-697-0903. On April 14th, Vincent Lutti will present a lecture titled 18th Century Gravestones and the Carvers in the Bridgewaters. The presentation will take place at the Memorial Building in West Bridgewater, located on Howard Street at 2 p.m. with the Old Bridgewater Historical Society. Lutti is a professor at UMass Dartmouth and had photographed over 7,000 gravestones in 6 states. You will learn about Bridgewater gravestone carvers and some of their work throughout the Bridgewaters. Now, for more information, you can log on to the link on your screen.
We featured the Bridgewater Hometown Heroes program over the last year, and the group is set to kick off year number 2 with an event on April 12th at 6 p.m. at the Bridgewater Vets Club. Some of the banners will be on display, and there will be speakers that night that will talk about their experiences as veterans. For more information on the event or to purchase a banner, you can email bahbanners@gmail.com. That's all for this edition of the program.
In the meantime, you can stay up to date on news and weather around town with my forecasts and Bridgewater Now on Facebook and YouTube. For now, I'm Jeff Fowler.
And I'm Scott Olson. Thanks for watching.